Okay. Hello, hello. And I think we're live. Hi, guys. Hopefully, we'll get a bit of a crowd today. I'm Anna. I'm a marketing growth executive at MarsX. And today with me is Martin Barnes, the founder of Chinaccelerator. And yeah, you guessed it. He's going to talk about pitching today and how to do it right, finally. So Martin, could you please talk a little bit about yourself?
Excellent. Thank you, Anna. Well, it's lovely to be here. Hello, everybody. My name's Martin, and I'm a crocodile wrestler.
Okay, what's that? Tell us more.
That's exactly the reaction I want. A little raised eyebrow, a confused smile. And then I go, that's what it feels like being the father of 4.5-year-old twins. I am just wrestling crocodiles all the time. And when I'm not wrestling crocodiles, I'm a pitch coach, and I help you catch the attention of your audience before you tell them what you do.
Oh, right. And why do we need it? Why are startups struggling with that? Because I'm also a startupper. Share my pain, please.
Exactly. Well, it's not just startups, it's everybody. It's like we're all pitching all the time. It could be to our teammates, to our investors, to our media, to our partners, to our children, to our customers, and everything's a pitch. And the problem is, in a lot of contexts, it's given one job and it's like, I need a pitch, and it becomes quite rigid. Whereas if you're always pitching, but you're not always selling, but you're always communicating clearly with a pitch, then you're sort of moving in the right direction. And startups are pitching 100 times a day. Like, founders are just non-stop pitching, but they're not always for big money checks. They're often just, this is the goal, this is the plan, this is the vision. And when I realized that when you have attention before you have, you've got to make sure you have attention. Otherwise, whatever you say just doesn't register.
That's true. I'm coming from this wonderful event that was organized by Startup Norway. It's called Meet the Startups. And I've heard 8 startups pitching today to me personally. And like you said, some of them were not even there for the money. They were just there for the feedback to see, what you can give them, what kind of feedback, what kind of pain they could be solving for you. And it was pretty amazing. But like you said, investors are getting like tons and tons of pitch decks. So how to stand out, how to make sure you gain the attention of the investor you need.
So I think it's a bit like peeling an onion.
All right, let's peel an onion.
So it's layer by layer by layer by layer. So it's not like it's going to happen really fast. It's going to happen
quite. It's a lot of crying.
With a lot of crying, exactly.
Yeah.
Onion. It's not going to work. And it's just like, if you listen. One of the interesting things at the moment is everyone's talking about stuff. So there are so many podcasts and interviews and lives, just like right now. And then you get to listen from investors what they look at. And so I'm listening to a couple. There's Founder Tech Decoded, and there's the pitch deck. And they're always asking people, and a lot of people are saying, we ultimately trust the founder. It means your founder story needs to be really interesting, but it has to also be backed up by every choice that you make. Sort of reiterates your founder story. And a lot of pre-seed companies, it's sort of like, do we believe in your team to get this right? And then another question they ask a lot is like, how much time do you give looking at a pitch deck? And people will literally give you from 20 seconds to 4 minutes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So those are really interesting insights to sort of think, well, how can I structure my pitch? Because if I have 20 seconds, what am I going to say to buy my next minute, to then have another minute? Then at the end of 4 minutes, they go, that's pretty good. So it's that transformation.
And I know that you also have this wonderful initiative, Pitch Club, where startups can come and just pitch, no strings attached, practice. That's a wonderful opportunity, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing, actually. It's what it's proven to be is a place where people are coming to have a streak of practice. So they come week by week by week by week for maybe 6-7 weeks, and then they suddenly see how far they've come. And like you said, it's free, it's weekly, it's global, it's a support community, and it's like if you're getting ready to pitch and you need more practice, then Pitch Club's the place.
Oh, cool. All right. But, some people say, pitch to whoever you want, pitch to your mom. How is Pitch Club different? Why are we coming there?
Because normally your mum always says, that's very nice. That's very nice. Which is great. Mums are good at that, but that will only get us so far. And it's a great question. So the feedback at Pitch Club is, so we meet every week for a month. We meet every week for 1 hour, and we do 30 minutes of 5 3-minute pitches with feedback. And then in the second half an hour, we do group discussion and one-on-one sort of conversations. And each person gets 5 minutes. So we're very strict on our time. That allows us to share ultimately 4 bits of feedback. So whoever comes to pitch is going to pitch to a completely open audience who's very willing to give feedback, which is quite unique.
That's cool. That's really cool. And what's your experience? Are people coming with the pitch decks or without? Like, what's the preference out there? Because again, I've talked to many investors, and some say, I just want to hear a story, and another one says, you absolutely have to have a timeline there. So what's the drill?
I have seen that if you Google investor questions, you go to a Forbes article and it has like 100 investor questions, and that 100 is divided into 10 categories with 10 questions. And when I saw the scope of those questions, I was like, you're not trying to answer the question, because they're always going to have another question. Like, what if you go A, they want B, and if you go B, they want A. So I think all of the ideas about the right model are valid, but they're so specific to a very detailed context that it's hard to say, oh, well, if it worked for them, it will work for me.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's that sort of, having those subtleties.
Right. And another thing that I noticed, that some investors are very open to listening to your personal story. Like I mentioned, I have this startup, and with my partner, when we pitch, we usually open with this personal story, like how it all started, how our friend wanted this specific solution. And once we pitched to an investor, and she was like, yeah, I mean, that's fine, but why are you opening with this story? I mean, to be honest, if you're changing the world, and if basically you're curing, I don't know, diabetes in children, yeah, that makes sense. But if it's just a story, it doesn't add any value to it. So just leave it out there, leave it for your mom, basically. So what's your take on this? Should we open with a personal story? Does it add anything?
I think you definitely need a personal origin story. However, when you choose to pitch that, it's very dependent on the context. So I don't want to sort of over-explain it, but basically it's like something that could move around. It's a piece in your chess game. So imagine a pitch like a chessboard. You have different pitches, pitches have different weights, for example. So, I think you need to be able to have a really strong origin story, but that doesn't always have to come first. You could start with the product story or the market story. It really depends who you're talking to and what is going to hook their attention. Because if, let's say, you might have heard investors say, I'm a product person. I can take a product and scale it. Okay, you know how the product scaling process works. Some people are like, I'm a founders investor. I only invest in the founders. So there is a preference. But if there's too much of one and not enough of the other, then it's weak. So you have to be able to do them all, and quite flexibly.
Okay. So what was maybe the worst ever advice that you've heard given to a startup, like how to pitch?
I don't know, that Jerry Seinfeld joke, people would rather die than do public speaking. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I mean,
people
I don't think so, but I can relate.
Well, I can't. Anyway, so yeah, there's a joke, and I think it's like more people, 2/3 of people would prefer to be in the coffin than giving the speech at the funeral, something like that.
Okay.
I really don't like that because it's a joke, and it's kind of gone through a comedy filter to have a point, and it's been used with real sincerity over here. And I think that's really silly. It's like, no, public speaking is not that bad. Once you've done it 4 or 5 times, you feel a lot better. And if we put it on this, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever, we're never really going to move on. So I find that very frustrating. I'm like, oh God, again.
So I know that you're actually working on that in the pitch accelerator. So you actually work on the way you can own your pitch and you can, feel more confident. And actually, I have my friend, my colleague sharing some comments. We have some comments on LinkedIn from, I guess, your students. So yeah, there is some support coming. So, and they say it's been great. So yeah, share what you do. I mean, how do you work on building the confidence to pitch?
So it's all about, so I've probably said this already, but it's always context and goals. Like, what kind of frame are you pitching in, and what are you trying to achieve? Because if you're trying to secure money, it's very different than if you're trying to go from no awareness to a little bit of attention. So those are all different pitches. And so I'm always like, if you start from what you're trying to achieve, and like, are you talking to a person for the first time or the 10th time? Are you talking to the decision maker or the gatekeeper? Once you've sort of got a clear like point of reference, then you can explore how to communicate your message. And I always use a DJing analogy.
All right, what's that? That sounds really interesting. Do you bring a DJ with you, or how does that work?
So a long time ago, I lived in China, and I was working in the nightclub scene in China, and I was a VJ, and I would stand next to DJs and watch them do a DJ set. I was right next to them. And basically with a pitch, imagine you're a DJ with a big room of records, which is your stories, and you're going to do an event and you're going to pitch. You look at your, if you're a DJ, you look at your record shelf, you take 50 records, you put them in a bag, you go to the party, you play 30 records. But you watch the atmosphere and you listen to the music and you watch the vibe and you perform to the audience.
Right.
Pitching needs to be the same.
Okay. All right. I mean, I get it. I'd like to ask the guys, because we're getting more and more comments, to share. I guess you had some experience with Martin, so tell us more, like how it was. What was the most valuable feedback? I really would love to know that. And so yeah, say, I don't know, like for example today, I've got this really cool project that is basically changing the way we approach the way we work on the internet, right? So the problem they're solving is super cool. Like I really related to this problem, is that whenever you work on the internet, you always kind of lose the pages that you need, and bookmarks. Who uses bookmarks today? So what they're doing is they are developing this platform where you put where it collects basically all the information that you need within your I don't know, let's say working day, and you have it all there, very nicely stored. And we as investors work with a bit earlier stages of startups, but it was super cool for me to listen to, and they knew that we're not a great fit, so they just went for feedback. So if you want, if you wanted to get feedback, what kind of information should you provide? What should be in your pitch if you're not really there for the money?
Good question. Again, it's all down to your goals, and they change daily, weekly, monthly. I would sort of spin that question around and say that whenever you're given the opportunity, pitch. Always, whether it's to a massive room with one person in it or to a really small room with lots of people in it, it doesn't matter. Just get the opportunities to do public speaking and pitching, because you'll always gather some feedback. And feedback's not always what you want to hear, but it's actually what you need to hear. And if you say no to a public speaking opportunity, somebody else says yes, and their career goes up and your career stays the same place.
Right. So take a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Because every single time you increase your value as a professional, it's because you're pitching, you're communicating, you're sharing an idea. It either becomes a $1 billion unicorn or it slightly changes something. And just like, whenever you put yourself in that situation, good things will happen. You might make lots of mistakes. Like I have made every mistake in the book, but it's because I just went out and did it every single time. But that's how you learn, right?
That's absolutely awesome. I think we have a bit of a question here. Pitch is different depending on whether you're talking to a gatekeeper versus a decision maker. What do you think about that? Is it truly different, or you still have to put all your effort?
Well, I was listening. I was on a meeting with some other Brazilian startups who are coming over to the UK for London Tech Week, and they had we had a pitching session where they all did their pitches and we gave feedback, and we talked about, who are you actually speaking to? Is it the person? Oh, and yes, there was an advisor from a finance company, and she said, I'm the person that receives all the pitch decks, and I have to decide, can I turn around and pitch this to my boss? Is it a mess? Is it hard? Is it difficult to understand? Or is it easy, light? It's like transferable. So a pitch always gets to a person where they suddenly have to turn around and pitch for you. And like those need to be like really strong and effective, because at a certain point, someone else takes it over. And that's the gatekeeper. So, I worked with a founder who, we prepared all of his pitch assets. We did his story. We did his pitch deck. We got advice. We followed all the systems. And it was a really great pitch deck. He actually got close to investment at the moment because he made a phone call and could do a 4-minute meeting with the boss. So he went from cold to decision maker, and the decision maker didn't even look at his pitch deck, gave him 4 minutes, asked him like 20 questions in 4 minutes and said, okay, I'll pass you over to my people. So that's when you hit the decision maker, and you just have to be able to do it all really fast. But when you're talking to a gatekeeper, you need to be able to do it really clearly, knowing that they're going to turn around and say, and they're going to dilute the message to what they remember it being, not what you know it is. Right.
Oh, that's a great advice. Okay. And there was another question. What's your best advice if you have 15 minutes to pitch a project? 15 minutes, I've never had 15 minutes to pitch a project. That's quite a lot. But yeah, 15 minutes. Yeah, what can you say there?
Well, if you're having a 15-minute meeting, that means that you've already had lots of very, very short meetings before that. So a 15-minute meeting is when you're very close to getting commitment. So a 15-minute meeting would be really well laid out, really well signposted, and answers as many questions from people that you haven't met yet, who are waiting up further in the shadows, who come in at this point. But by the time you're having 15-minute meetings, if you run that back, you must have had 22-minute meetings.
Right.
And so a 15-minute meeting is what happens when you're close to the finish line, I suppose. So the opposite side of that is keep it short. It's really.
I think you said keep it short, and I'm kind of building up the courage to ask you to maybe give you my 1-minute pitch of Mars at some point today. So just to hear your feedback, that would be really, really cool. But you know what? We already have new people signing up for the next pitch club. So here you go. You know, people really see the value of this story. And yeah, they see that there is a real value in just pitching it and gaining some excitement out of the crowd. So yeah, great comments. And there is another question. How do you know what to take out of the pitch? Yeah, oh, that's a great one. What do you say to that?
Take out take out more than you think. And don't worry, don't make the decision on because I made this idea and it looks good and I understand it that I need to keep it in. Be prepared to take it out and know that you can use it in the future in a different context. And I think that sitting on the panel of lots of startup events, there's myself and then other financial sort of advisors and investors and VCs and angels. And I think that people overshare what they've made.
Do you think we should kind of be building it up? So basically, if you go to your 2-minute pitch, so have 1 page of your pitch deck, or when you go further, right, when you get your 5 minutes, add the timeline, add how you're going to go to market, and when you ultimately reach the decision maker, do you take like the whole thing? Do you make it like super huge and explaining every single thing? Or again, then these guys, since you already got there, don't care about it anymore, and they kind of just want to hear your story again and believe in you?
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a full circle journey. It goes from your origin story. By the time you're really meeting the big people, they just want to align with you as a person. And again, I think it would be like, be prepared to have all of those different versions of your material and feel instinctively when you're going to use them, rather than think I have to start with this one and I have to start with this one and I have to start with this one. And you know, what I tend to do is create a really big pitch deck, could be 40 slides, and then we have everything in this one treasure chest, and then we reduce that for different versions, and we have 1 page, 3 page, 5 page, 8 page, 12 page, and we can do whatever we want. So we're like looking at what's coming towards us and thinking, well, we need this kind of pitch, and we can do that. And that's because, again, the process we do to create pitch deck is all about, like, I want people to be in control of the stories they're sharing when they're sharing them, so they're the right ones at the right time.
Right, absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, since we don't have comments right this moment, I think this is my time. I have a few, of course, additional questions, but yeah, let's. I can't miss the chance to, to pitch to the coach. So yeah, feel free to, I don't know, time me and then share whatever feedback you can.
Okay.
All right.
That's a 1-minute pitch. 1 minute.
Oh my God. I feel the pressure already. Okay, let's start. So Morris X is a pretty revolutionary thing, and I'm not just saying because I work for it. This is an all-in-one platform that allows very, very speedy and efficient development, and it's targeted towards startups because it's solving 2 of their main pains, which is time and money. And of course, if you're doing faster development, you're ultimately saving money. Oh my God, I cannot talk anymore. That was bad, I know. But
that was probably about 34 seconds.
Okay, I had to time myself as well. Yeah. When you pitch, I feel like the time is going faster. So yeah, and you get nervous, of course.
There's so much there to sort of talk about. So if we start, if we go back like a minute and a half, you said, I'm going to pitch now. Oh, I'm really nervous. And you did that. Now that was brilliant, but you need to do that for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because you just did one of them, but you need to sort of come in, know where your phone is going, know your water's there, know you've been to the bathroom, know everything that's about to happen. So you're walking a very familiar path, and that can be like 3 steps or 10 steps. You just sort of, you went, you're about to jump in cold water or something.
Oh, yes.
So that's good. So what I would do is just give yourself more margin, 5 minutes, just to sort of mentally sort of tune your body to your brain, because when you come running in from another job, everything's moving at different speeds and you need to sort of really center it. Right. That would be the first thing. And then, so the second thing, when you, in the first sort of 15 seconds, you told us what Mars X is. And it felt that if I was in a museum, if I was doing a museum tour where I'm being guided through the museum, the first 3 things you said were a bit like pointing to an empty wall in a museum and saying, here's a wall, and here's a wall. And now I'm on the museum tour and I'm like, I want to see the Mona Lisa now, right? I just want to go straight to the best thing. And your pitch was a little bit like, we sort of do this and we sort of do this and we sort of do, and I couldn't really imagine what it was. Like, I was like, I'm not being given any hooks into saying it's like this and it's like that. So it was kind of a bit vague, which is why I say like an empty space in a museum, because a museum should have artwork in it. But if you're looking at the empty space, it's just minimal. So there's nothing there. And that would sort of, so if you were sort of like, how do I see the Mona Lisa in the first 8 seconds? What can I say that's going to be like, because personally, I say I'm a crocodile wrestler. Then I pause and I let you go, zzz, zzz, zzz. What does that mean? And then I tell you what I do. So that's what I would think about the content. All
right. Wow, that's golden. Well, there you go. See, some actionable advice. Now, I've definitely thank you. That was definitely hard. And I think 1-minute pitches are like the hardest. Like, you have to keep it all so short and still explain what your product is about. What do you think? And do you prepare for this kind of stuff at the Pitch Accelerator?
Yeah, we do. So it's interesting what you say about a 1-minute pitch, because, you know, just telling somebody what you do takes about 12 to 17, 20 seconds. And then if you aren't prepared to do the other 40 seconds, it can get really like, ooh, I don't know what I'm saying. So you do need to be like, okay, I can either do it in 8 seconds, 27 seconds, or 60 seconds. And you need to have versions that can do both, all 3. And again, that just depends. That's when you start taking stuff out and you sort of think, what does this person really need to start a conversation right now? So, right. Exactly.
Okay. Do you think it's a good thing to maybe engage the audience as well? So maybe, like you said, start with a hook. And, you know, in my head, it would be asking, say, do you want to develop your startup 10 times more efficiently? And should I be, if I'm presenting to the big crowd, should I try and get some answers from the audience? Should I try to engage with that, or this is not a very good advice?
It is really good to engage the audience, obviously, because we're more interested in things we're doing. Yet during a pitch, somebody sort of said, okay, the deal is I give you some attention and you give me something interesting. Like, you give me some value and I give you some of my time. And as soon as we decide it's not interesting, we just pick up our phone and Yeah, we're like half there, if that.
Right.
So, I think it's sort of always stay focused on it. I keep coming back to it, but this idea of flexibility and like knowing when the move is, and also just, the screen is a big issue as well. We have to deal with that.
Right. And, with COVID almost gone, touch wood, we're getting more and more in-person events. So, how does it work? So basically, I think we just got used to, pitching through our screens. Is it somehow different? Do we have a different approach when we talk to investors live, or it's pretty much the same? What are the tips on that?
I would say that I don't think we're going to stop doing this at all now. So just quick question, how many of your meetings would you like to go back to full in person? Like what percentage?
I'd say 20, maybe 30.
So the majority is still online, right? And you're doing that in person. So we need to improve this all the time. And one thing that I'm always asking people to do is to stand up. So at the moment, I'm standing up. And if I like take off the blur on the room, I'm just in a room at home, and I have my laptop on a table, on a chair, on a box. So my laptop's at eye level, and I'm standing up, and so I'm in the same posture that I would be if I was in an in-person meeting. Everyone else is sat down.
Right.
And
I'm sorry.
It's fine. What I've noticed is I'll highlight this to people, and now I see more and more people standing. The people that I've spoken to that I know that I said, hey, I think you should stand up. And then you just see them, and they're at work, because where is work right now? We're working somewhere, but like, what posture do I bring to work? And like, sitting for emails is fine, but standing, presenting, pitching, I think you should always be standing, because it just, like, you wouldn't go to a demo day, get to the stage, sit in a chair and present from a chair. Like, that just wouldn't happen. So I think the same etiquette comes to video pitching.
Right.
We need it even more, because I'm in a room somewhere talking to a computer, and you're in another country looking in another box at another box. It's like, so we have to really project our personalities, because there is no in the room atmosphere, but there is on the call atmosphere.
Absolutely. So body language matters.
100%. So you need to let these sort of, I call them gesture bullet points. So if you had your slides and you were going to have 3 bullet points, those are 3 gestures. And then just the way that you want a bullet point to have impact, you can sort of use your hand's direction, but they also need to be able to disappear, because if you're like this the whole time, everyone's like, my God, what's going on? But again, when you stand up, it's like breathing is the key. Once you start breathing, you start thinking straight, your head relaxes, your body relaxes, and then you can start thinking about your posture. Then your posture influences your body language, and then that influences your communication. So it's like standing up has a really powerful knock-on effect.
That's wonderful. Okay, and guys, if you have any other questions, maybe you want to get some actionable advice, again, maybe even an exercise. Do we have some kind of exercise, like how do you how do you pump yourself up for the pitch, or maybe you don't have to, because I was pumping myself up and see what happened.
Yeah, well, that's a really good one. That's sort of before the moment. So a lot of people will feel anxiety, and I want it to be anticipation. And so I'm thinking about the event 20 minutes beforehand. I'm getting myself ready. I'm doing mental checklists to make sure I know where everything is. And then I can sort of arrive. So what I don't mind telling people that I joined this Zoom call like 3 minutes before we went to go on live. And then when I did my first live, I was 15 minutes early. But I've, not to sound arrogant or anything, but like pitch club, we do 2 pitch clubs a week. We've done like 100 pitch club meetings in the last year. And you just get really used to it. So the anxiety comes down and then you start looking forward to it. And it really is just practice. You can't, like, everybody has shared everything they know about storytelling and pitching.
Right.
There is not that much information, but it's just practice, practice, reflect, practice, practice, reflect, practice. And that's when you start to see this, but that happens really quite fast, faster than people think.
Right. Well, would you recommend maybe, I don't know, some videos? What are maybe your favorite pitches out there that you see as an inspiration?
There's a fantastic TED Talk by Tim Urban.
Mm-hmm.
He was sort of very into blogging early on, and then his blog became a book, and then he became a speaker, and he sort of does the circuits and the tours. And his TED Talk rather, not a TEDx, his TED Talk is one of the best TED Talks I've seen. Like, it might not be the most sort of scientifically advanced, or it might not be the most inspirational, but I think it's the best in terms of how he is, what he's achieving, what he's trying to achieve, how he does that. And the guy is like funny, remembers enough of his script that it looks perfect, uses great visuals. At the end of it, he tells these small stories, but then they become part of this bigger story. And I've actually, when I was living in China, we used different social media, WeChat. And so I post content on WeChat. And I've got an article about that TED Talk that I'm going to reuse on LinkedIn soon.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. And since you mentioned the book, tell us about yours. I mean, you're also an author. You're getting your book published. So what's that about? How can we, how can we get it and get a piece of that?
So I'm basically an author because I finally sat down and wrote a book, and it's going to be published, self-published, and we are going to sell on a Gumroad, my Gumroad page. No Gumroad?
Yeah, and I mean, share the link, please. I'm sure everyone's going to be super psyched about it.
I will do. We only have a sign-up link. Let me get that, and then I will comment for sure. We basically, what I decided was like looking at people writing books and thinking, oh my God, everyone's doing really well writing books. And I was like, how am I going to write a book? And then I was watching my children learn their ABCDs. Okay. And then oh, wow, that's cool. How simple it is and how effective. And so I just decided to use the ABCDs to make a pitching book. So the pitching A to Z. So A is for audience, B is for benefit, C is for clarity, D is for direct.
Oh, that's creative.
Yeah. And then, so the person that I'm editing the book with, she was like, talked about how you need to have an idea and a concept for your book and maybe some rules. So we had the idea of brevity. So it's got to be short. So each page is very, very fast to read, but there's an illustration and some information. And you could read all 26 in like 25 minutes easily. Like, it's a really fast. So it's when it's a book, it's not like it's a 40,000 word book on pitching, because I don't think the world needs that. I think that's like hard to read, get through, and just.
Sorry.
You okay?
It's just my phone vibrating, and I don't want it to interrupt us. I'm so sorry. Some working moments. Okay. So yeah.
So I modeled the book on the A to Z, and it's super quick, super short, and it's by design. And it's sort of like, let's just keep it really short and sweet and focused, and then let's get it done, because I'm always not getting stuff done. So I've just found the link, so I'm going to pop it in the chat.
Okay, that would be great.
And it's quite nice because it's a pocket book, so it's quick to read, it's very visual, and it's almost like a presentation on every page, kind of.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to share it later if you don't mind. And I think we have one more question. What is the most common mistake that you should never do while pitching? Oh, I think it's brilliant. What is the big no-no?
I think it's apologizing.
Okay.
So having lived in China for a long time, and then now that we're such a global community, a lot of people aren't pitching in their first language.
Right.
And when somebody stands on stage and the first thing they do is say, "I'm really sorry about my English," the audience goes, "Oh." You go, "Oh, I have to use more brain effort now. I have to stay more concentrated. There is something I have to do now," because the person apologized in advance.
Right.
Before they'd even spoken. So they hadn't even set the benchmark for themselves. They just apologized. And I see it a lot with English second language, as I said, and I think you don't need to do it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, English is not my first language, and I don't want to sound too arrogant, but I think it's super cool when people learn your language in order to to communicate, and then they do need some extra brain capacity to operate in this language, and I think it's no matter like the mistakes they're making, I think it's a great thing, and if the idea is brilliant. I mean, why I think apologizing, I absolutely agree with you, just sets this expectation that something is already wrong. They haven't even started. So,
exactly.
yeah.
And like, you're the person on stage, you're the person who's been invited, you've done something that somebody else thinks needs amplifying. Take that. Right. And just what you might do at the end is go, oh, God, it's really hard doing this in a second language.
That was me.
Because it is. Like, I've tried presenting in Chinese and it's exhausting, and it's hard, and you feel annoyed because you're not really saying what you want to say. You're blocked by words. Right. And so I think just never apologize, and just take every single opportunity, because then you're putting yourself in that growth momentum.
Okay, and does personality matter? Like, when you pitch, should you be completely honest about who you are and just put you out there, and if you like to use your hands, just use them, or you have to somehow still remain professional and make sure that they know that you're going to work hard for their money?
Yeah, I think again it comes to the context and the audience. It's like, in certain situations that's acceptable, in others totally not. And so again, it's like the real power comes from being able to read the situation and then have the skills to go, this is what I'm going to do with this one. So that's what gets you real ability, like kung fu, to sort of deal with the situation. But yeah, no, there's not one way of doing it. But like, also, the other thing I would say is like, be like classical music, go da 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 da. Like, have shape, so you're not always the same, but you're able to come in quiet. You go up loud, you get excited, then you bring it down. But you're in control, and so you can start and stop as you want. Then you're performing.
Oh wow, yeah, I've never even thought about it that way. I was, always kind of having more of a like professional mindset towards pitching. So you go there and ultimately you're asking for money. You need to convince people that you are a hard worker, and you're able to, first of all, put together a good pitch deck. And if you cannot even do that, then maybe you don't have to act anymore. So yeah, I think it's a great thing to think about. So I think let's just take maybe a moment to talk more about what you do, and maybe you will tell us about Chinaccelerator, because we don't have any more questions, but I think we've given out so much cool information. So thank you.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So when I work with people, I'm getting better at my sales calls and my discovery calls as a sort of service-based professional. And so when people ask me, how does it work? I then sort of say, well, how do you like to learn? Because we have things at DIY, do it yourself. We have things at DWY, do it with you. And then we have DFY, do it for you. And really, whatever somebody needs or wants or can afford, they can choose from that. So, for example, the book, the A to Z of pitching that's coming out, that's in the sort of do it yourself. You can go and buy the book. And then we have Pitch Club. Come to Pitch Club. It's free. Come and pitch. Do it yourself. Do it. But Pitch Club is like do it yourself, do it with a community. So you're now doing it with other people. We have a startup pitch accelerator program, which is a do it with you. And that's where we're talking to lots of different accelerators about if they'd like to plug that into their program, because an accelerator can be 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks. And from my experience of working with accelerators in Asia and Europe, they'll plan out and they'll go, well, first of all, we need to do product market fit, and then we need to do this. And at the end, it's, oh, we need to pitch. Right. And so they will give me like an hour in the last week. By that time, you're not really going to change anything. So I'm like, let's put the pitch coaching all the way through with videos that I've made. And then when we have meetings, we can have demonstrations and feedbacks. And so that's the do it with you. And then the do it for you is I write it, where I'm a ghostwriter and I come in and I create your pitch. Nobody knows I did that. And then you have the deck. But because you made it with me on my process, you know exactly why it is the way it is.
Okay. All right. So just about that, because you're of course doing it with the founder, and you're working in close collaboration. What do you think about like completely outsourcing your pitch deck? Is that a good idea? Like basically just writing what should be there, or like what you would like it to look, and giving it to a copywriter.
That works. That 100% works. I mean, it really, again, I feel like a broken record. It depends on your goals and your content. Right. So, if you write your script for your pitch and then you say slide 1, title, image, slide 2, title, if you do all that and then you send it to somebody on Fiverr, and they could be in Pakistan, India, Eastern Europe, Middle East, Southeast Asia, England, they could be anywhere. You're going to get good ones and bad ones. And the more you pay, the better they get. Right. And that's amazing. I've seen people get amazing results from that. And then there's someone like me who will, in parallel, story and image, and we're constantly evolving it. And you don't always get that from somebody who's on a site like Fiverr, but you don't always need that.
Absolutely.
You need what you need. And the amazing thing is you can do it for yourself. You can do it with Fiverr, or you can do it with me. And they all work depending on what you have to achieve.
Right. Okay. I know that there is one thing that we established, is that I'm coming to Pitch Club to learn how to pitch. So guys who's still watching, please come to Pitch Club. I know that there's definitely one new sign up today. So thank you, Martin. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always, and very, very valuable information. And come to Pitch Accelerator. And Martin's there for you.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.